Y'all like the data science video. What can I say? Y'all like data science, which came down to three things. First one, critical thinking. Second one, understanding the power of data. And third one, web scraping, also known as just getting the data. And y'all seem to like that. And that's really exciting because I like talking about it. So I figure let's talk about it more. Today's video will be a little bit of a teaser because we're just going to dive into how I use the import XML function, the kind of spreadsheets I make, the kind of questions I'm trying to answer. And then in future, we're going to have more tips and tricks and deep dives. And I'm sure you'll learn something here, but I'm really excited about some of the stuff I'm cooking up. Stay tuned. That being said, hi, my name's Nick. I run this YouTube channel. You should subscribe. A lot of people just don't subscribe to anybody. So if you don't subscribe, I'm not going to be offended. I know I'm not special, but if you do subscribe, that means that I am special and I like that. So please subscribe. Anyways, all right, let's dive in. So here I have a spreadsheet. This is all made in Google Docs. I've called it Collector Investments. And this, for me, is mapping out collector booster boxes over the past 6 years. We have the set size, how many unique cards are in the standard set size. So not including, commander cards and things like that. The bot price, which on this tab, the bot price are really good prices because these are prices that I've sourced mostly from Patreon programs, but also just special places on the internet. And not scams. These aren't scams. I talked in a previous video about how if a price is too good to be true, it's a scam. Well, these Patreon programs are not scams. So at least the ones I've talked about in my live streams. Join my live stream Monday evenings, 8:30 Eastern time. Anyway, all right. So really good prices here. And then I have a couple columns. So I have this XPath updated column. And then I have the sold price column. The sold price column gets updated from this XPath updated column. And the reason for that is kind of shown here. Sometimes the XPaths break. That can break because the website changed, which it's usually not that. It's usually that the website is suffering from connectivity issues or is just down in some ways. And so these values don't populate. If you need something to be filled in, then you need to somehow capture what is here and save it. And I've just done that in a dinky way of just copying and pasting it over. Now, if TCG Player's always working, tonight it's working great. So this might be an old problem that you don't have to worry about anymore. You might be able to just have the XPath set it and forget it, and you'll always get the most updated values. But for me, when I first made this a couple months ago, there's many times where it just would be NA. And it was because, if you went to tcgplayer.com and tried to go around and just navigate the website, it was slow too. So my intuition is that the site just isn't working. And that's the reason why the XPath wouldn't update. The import XML functions on your Google Sheet wouldn't update. But like I said, it's not a problem tonight, and I haven't seen it recently. So you might be just good. But to be safe from that, I have this XPath updated column that has the import XML functions, and then I have a sold price column, which is the just copied and pasted over. And so the sold price column is stagnant. This XPath column is getting updated. So sold net. This is the column I was talking about before, which is this exciting idea behind, if I sold this today, how much money would I make? Important question. I think everybody, for all of their collection inventory, you should know if I sold this today, how much money would I make? Because knowledge is power. Haha, yeah. Knowledge gives you options, right? If you don't know anything, then you have very limited choices. But if you know all the choices you have, if you know that your collection's worth 10 grand or whatever, you might be able to liquidate, get that 10 grand and put it into something else that's better. And so anyways, big fan of just knowing. You should know what you own, know what it's worth. And so the really rough math that I'm doing right here is just take this investment, multiply by 0.85. That is overestimating fees, and it's not including shipping. And so it's not ideal, but what it is doing is, in my opinion, it's overestimating fees and underestimating how much you'll make, which goes back to kind of my thesis and the reason I've made this whole spreadsheet. The reason I've made this whole spreadsheet, and this is some valuable advice, like, lean forward, listen up. Strategy is everything. And I'm a strategy analyst, so like maybe I'm just going to say that. And I don't want to sound like a dorky consultant, even though I am one. But if you know what you're trying to accomplish, that's like half the battle or more. Figure out what you're trying to do, then go from there. Why are you making this spreadsheet? Well, for me, I made this spreadsheet to understand or argue that collector booster boxes are valid long-term investments. Now, to do that, I'm going to overestimate fees and underestimate how much money you make from selling the products. Why? Because if I'm overestimating fees and underestimating how much money I make from selling these collector booster boxes, and they still come out at 40% gains over 6 months, then yeah, these are good investments. And so, just the headwind of overestimating fees, underestimating how much money you make, it works out for my argument, for what I'm trying to portray. So that's why I'm doing this. Now, if you're trying to get the exact right, like most precise, I would get the exact fees. I would get the formulas correct. For example, TCG Player doesn't charge, like, I think the most fees you can pay is $75. And so if you sell an item that costs more than something like $700, your fees get capped. So anyways, there's ways to make this much more precise if you want to have exact precise numbers. For me, I'm very content rounding. Right. A long explanation for that column, but it's good. Gains is if you sell a net and you subtract out what you paid for it, what would your gains be? And then there's the gain percent, which is the percent change of what you bought it for over what you're selling it for. This year has been crazy. Absolute lunacy when it comes to collector booster boxes doing well. We're going to see previous years too. This isn't the only year. There's many years. I mean, this gets into kind of the point, but let me just let me talk about why this spreadsheet's so powerful that I've made and why I love it. And then we'll get into the implications of it, like what these numbers really mean. So I've got this aggregated sheet here where I've got all the sets from 2020 to 2021, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't have 2026 on there yet. And I was trying to do essentially just eyeballing a linear regression or a multivariate regression, which is something I most definitely will talk about in a future video. But it's just using statistics to say, is there any evidence of a correlation or a causation here? And what I was trying to measure was set size. How many unique playable cards does Wizards put in a set? And then how much is that set worth? And it's so funny because these sets that didn't do well, like Assassin's Creed, Aftermath is still bad. March of the Machines Aftermath. But anyway, some of these smaller sets, like Assassin's Creed is doing a lot better now, but when I first made this just a few months ago, Assassin's Creed was still not performing well. Oh, really? Aether Drift has a decent set size? Anyway, long story short, there is, especially with especially with Marvel superheroes coming out and The Hobbit coming out, and assuming The Hobbit doesn't crash, the evidence statistically for the argument that set size has a lot to do with how a set performs in the short to medium term is not strong. Even the long term is not strong. As we see Spider-Man start to gain some, not quite where, a lot of people wish it was, but gaining some. Anyways, it's cool stuff. The power of this data, all of it just web scraped using import XML on a Google sheet. But the information, the knowledge, the power that comes from this is fantastic. Some other implications of this data, then we'll call it a night. 2026, check it out. Lorne Eclipsed has grown 40%. This is after shipping, after fees. If you had put your entire life savings into Lorne Eclipsed back in January, February, you would make 40% today. Now, could you sell it? Is it liquid? No, it's tricky, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I know. It's complicated, but it's just crazy that there's been that much gain in the prices in such a short period of time. And we can take a look here. I mean, the liquidity is not too bad. 5, 4, 9 stuff selling a day. By the way, wee woo, market surge alert. Somebody is trying to buy up the Zendikar Rising collector booster boxes, where these shot up to be like $600 and they're back down to 500 now. But watch out, there's still some big moves. Referencing the video I made the other day, there's definitely people out there, either one person or group of people or whatever, that are conspiring to buy up stuff to raise prices. So sell into the hype? Yes, absolutely. Okay. So 2026, banger year. TMNT is up. If you were able to buy TMNT for 300, which was a really good price, but I don't think that was unattainable. I think there's a number of places where you could have bought them for around this price. They're now 400 plus. And so even after shipping and fees, you're netting 50, 60 bucks, whatever. 20% gains over just a few months. Strixhaven. I was able to buy, there's websites I know that were 325. You could buy them all day. Here I have 275. That was the cheapest price I was able to get. And the gains are phenomenal. They're good. Marvel superheroes, not so much. This has been the first set of the year where the pre-order price is not immediately making instant monetary gains for the people that bought into that. So, whoop-de-doo. Can't win them all. The Hobbit will be really interesting. $600 is a target price that some people have that I'm not buying into the Hobbit. I bought a box. I pre-ordered 1 collector booster box, 3 play booster boxes, and I got a really good deal on all of it. I'm really excited about it, but I'm not putting in a ton of money into the Hobbit. What I'd rather do is put money into some of this, honestly. So now we're looking at 2025. So just recap 2026. 4 sets have come out so far. 3 of them instant flipping opportunities if you pre-ordered collector booster boxes at good prices. 1, not so much. 2025. So we're extending the time horizon to 1 year. Look at this, a 100% gains. You're telling me this booster box has doubled in price after shipping and fees? Yes, Edge of Eternities. Let's see, is this? Oh my gosh, and this hasn't been updated yet. Copy and paste these prices over. Boom, baby. Jeez, what craziness. So Edge of Eternities, 150% year-over-year returns. Final Fantasy, 130% year-over-year returns. Tarkir Dragonstorm, 71% returns year-over-year. You know what hasn't returned well? Spider-Man. Because if you're pre-ordering Spider-Man for $350 and you're able to sell it for $370 today, you're losing money, is what it is. But honestly, you keep holding on to it. The more, Spider-Man is just like such an obvious long-term hold. It is so obvious that it's going to do well. The way that demand has spiked a little bit thanks to Marvel superheroes, the way that there's more Marvel sets coming out, it's just like, it is probably the best buy, hold, long-term, going to do great set there could possibly be. And Avatar. Is Avatar really 488? Is that a science fact? Avatar collector. That's crazy. What happened? I'm just learning this. It's like that Trump meme where he's like, "Oh, I'm just hearing about this for the first time now, so I need to check my spreadsheet more." The liquidity is still there, although only 1 sold today. Yeah, that's fine. 4 sold yesterday, for some for $500. That is crazy. Okay. Well, turns out Avatar is going up. All right. Well, anyways, what's the point? The point is that if you bought collector boxes from last year, You have an average 64% returns in a year. Insane. And then 2024, we see something similar, 47% returns. 2023, 41% returns. 2022, not a great year. And by the way, this is accounting for years too, like how many years it's been. This is year over year returns. Yeah, this is getting divided by 3. The 2023 numbers divided by 3. And so crazy. Don't have to go through all of it, but you have seen what I've seen, and you cannot deny. I mean, you could calculate different numbers. You could put in liquidity here and point out that it's like if you invested, 10 grand in this stuff a year, it would take, 6 months for it all to sell or whatever. It's not just all fluff and fugazi, but it's interesting. It is interesting, and it certainly makes me want to keep buying collector booster boxes from Magic sets and either instantly flip them to make money or hold on to them for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, etc., and make money. So that's cool. It's cool. Anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for enjoying my spreadsheet. And I invite you to build something like it. There's a lot of cool, interesting opportunities in Magic finance. And a lot of it comes to light as you organize the data, as you start writing down your collection and what it's worth and understanding the value and opportunities that are out there. So anyways, now or never, comment below what you'd like to see when it comes to data science, when it comes to Magic finance. What interests you? There's statistics, there's machine learning, there's Claude, there's linear regressions and drawing causality. Obviously, what everybody wants to see is, can you predict what's going to pump in price next? Which, great question. And there's certainly ways to try to do that. But a better question would be something like, could we see if new secret layers spike the price of past secret layers or something like that? Can we see if these kinds of sets will increase the price of these kinds of sets, or if the time of year matters for price spiking? I don't know. There's lots of specific questions that are obviously measurable and have data. A question that's as vague as like, oh, how can we predict the next set that's going to spike? It's complicated, and there's ways to do that, but it's just hard. It's hard, and it's not always something that you want to dive into all the details for everybody on YouTube. So ask me the questions you got, and I'll see what I can do, because this is fun. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.